Hello, everyone who is just joining us. Welcome to our session today on peer-to-peer fundraising. Our session title is Engage, Acquire, Retain, the Peer-to-Peer Fundraising Formula. If you are just joining us, we're going to go ahead and get started at the top of the hour. We have a couple minutes till then, but please go ahead and utilize the chat box on the bottom of your screen to let us know your organization, your name, where you're joining, so we can see who we have on, and we'll go ahead and get started shortly.
I'm reading the chats as they're coming in. It looks like we've got a great mix of missions and locations. I'm seeing people from all over the place. So welcome. We cannot wait to present this material to you this afternoon.
Definitely. If you are just joining us, welcome to the session today, Engage, Acquire, Retain, the Peer-to-Peer Fundraising Formula. We are at the top of the hour, so as we have more people filtering in, I do want us to get that full hour's worth. So we'll go ahead and get started. We are recording today's session, so you are going to get a recorded copy of the webinar as well as a copy of the PowerPoint slides we're going to be using. So you can take this, share it with your team, go back on any information that we shared today. So no need to worry about jotting down notes. You're going to get copies of everything you see here today. All right, so let's get started. Welcome to Engage, Acquire, Retain, the Peer-to-Peer Fundraising Formula. Like I mentioned, this is an interactive session. So if you have questions, we definitely want to hear from you. If you have ideas on how you used peer-to-peer in the past, maybe your own experiences, go ahead and share them in the chat box as we're going through the presentation. If you have any questions, you'll see on the bottom of your screen, there is a box that says Q&A. You can submit questions there, and we will have time at the end of the session that's reserved exclusively for Q&A. We will make sure all of your questions get answered, but the best way to make sure we see them is using that Q&A box. So going ahead and getting started, I'm going to introduce our fantastic panel that we have today. First is Nicole Betancourt. She is the Development Manager at Ronald McDonald House Charities, South Florida. Hi, Nicole.
Hello, and good afternoon and good morning to some of you. I'm looking forward to sharing lots of fun different ways that we use peer-to-peer here at the Ronald McDonald House of South Florida.
Thanks, Nicole. Next, we have Maureen Wallbeoff, who is the CEO of Maureen Wallbeoff, LLC. Thanks for being here today, Maureen.
Oh, it's my pleasure. This is great material, everybody. So get ready to have your mind sort of expanded by ways you might not have thought to use peer-to-peer in your organization, especially as an acquisition technique. I'm based in Massachusetts out on beautiful Cape Cod, and I'm looking forward to answering your questions along the way.
Thanks, Maureen. And last but certainly not least, we have David Blyer, who is the co-founder, president, and CEO of Arreva. Hi, David.
Gabby, first of all, thank you for coordinating and putting all these my co-hosts with me. I just want to echo what Maureen said. This is really exciting. Peer-to-peer is probably one of the little things that are very dear to me, and it's really nice to have Maureen here giving her advice, and Nicole, who actually uses this and is actually acquiring new donors and sharing these experiences and maybe new ways or reinforce ways that you've already been doing this. But we hope you get a lot out of this, and please let us know if you do. But we're very excited to share this with you, and thank you for attending today.
Thanks, David. And my name is Gabriella Salemi. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Arreva, and I will be your moderator for today. All right, so to kick things off, we want to ask you a poll question, and we would like to know, has your organization ever used peer-to-peer fundraising before? If you haven't, that's okay. We're going to kind of talk about what peer-to-peer is and how to utilize it. And if you have used peer-to-peer, we're going to give you some new ideas for how you could utilize the platform differently than you may be already. All right, I'll give a few more seconds. We have a lot of answers coming in. All right, so looking at the results, 65% of you have used peer-to-peer in the past and 35% of you have not. Very interesting to see. We're going to have more polls later, but I will pass it over to our panel to go ahead and get started.
All right. Well, I'm the lucky one that gets started and kicking this off. And so I get to warm up not only the audience, but I get to warm up Maureen and Nicole. But, what's interesting here is, and I love statistics too, because it reinforces a lot of things. But really what we're seeing on average is 20% of donors will refer other donors through peer-to-peer fundraising. And peer-to-peer, and you're going to hear a lot of things maybe being a little bit reinforced, but it is about donor acquisition. It's also about donor acknowledgement, and it's also about donor retention. So it really is a good combination. And there's no one size fits all, but it really is a great way to expand your reach to potential new donors, to engage your existing supporters, your existing donors, your board members. I mean, I could go on about this, and even including your volunteers, by powering them through personal and professional networks. There's so many different ways to be using peer-to-peer, and that's what we're really going to talk about today. But it allows people, whoever they are, and really reaching and sharing their things. But when you look at certain things like fundraising campaigns, I think peer-to-peer is one of the most effective donor acquisition strategies because it expands your reach through personal endorsements. It's not just your company. And that lends to just amazing credibility, right? When someone fundraises for you, they're giving your organization a warm introduction to people you would never reach on your own. I mean, I know we always look for new databases and we try and do that, but this is their databases. This is their contacts, and it builds instant trust, which is one of the first hurdles in any donor relationship. In fact, we were talking about that the other day about, normally when you outreach somebody new, you're going in at almost a negative. Not that it's a negative, but you got to convince them before you even get to neutral. Developing and engaging campaigns is probably the best, from a peer-to-peer campaigns. They're not just a plug and play. They're story driven, they're community focused. I mean, really think about those things. When you're empowering your board, your volunteers, your donors with compelling messages, and I use that word a lot because I always say, how can I do this more compelling, right? Setting clear goals, and simple tools. They've got to become your frontline fundraisers. I mean, this method doesn't just raise money. I know we always talk about raising money through peer-to-peer, but it raises visibility. It really deepens engagement across your base. When we're talking about encouraging and enable supporters, by giving people the ability to create personal fundraising pages, and really thinking about this with custom themes and custom stories, you're offering a meaningful way for them to really connect, their identity to your mission. I mean, that's really the connection. There's always, we call that alignment, right? But these campaigns often outperform general appeals because they're authentic. Not that your general appeal's on, but it's an emotional that's resonating with them, and it's highly shareable. I mean, that's what I truly love about this. When we talk about team challenges, team-based challenges or team-based fundraising adds a layer of motivation. I mean, this is the other thing. You want to motivate people. It truly invites people to form groups with their family, with their friends, co-workers, create family competition that fuels momentum. Good competition, not bad competition, right? We've seen this model increase participation rates. I've seen this drive higher average gifts, and it really does help convert one-time donors into long-term supporters. And we'll talk about one-time donors and the issues that are out there, but because people are having fun with it while they're doing good, they enjoy these things, and really makes them think about it. I mean, there's a lot more things to talk about, even on engaging and acknowledgement with them. But when we're talking about fundraising events, when a supporter hosts a fundraising event for your organization, they become a champion for your cause. And I call it more of a grassroots model, but it multiplies your fundraising capacity truly without requiring significant organizational resources. With just a little guidance, and branding support, because you always want to brand your organization. These peer-led events often bring new donors and community advocates. I love talking about social media. And when you think about it from a campaign perspective, you need to make it easy for people to promote your cause. It's got to be 1, 2, 3 clicks away, right? Providing them with free written social posts, that's your responsibility. Providing them with maybe an image, and it doesn't have to be multiple images, because you're giving it to individuals on the peer-to-peer fundraising, or maybe videos. Remove the friction. Allow them to focus on sharing. That's what this is about, getting it out there, right? Showing them how to set this up. It's not only, this doesn't only increase the participation, but it also, and I really mean this, it keeps your messaging aligned and your brand consistent. And that is truly critical to the donor trust and the recognition that you're really trying to, outreach there, because you want consistency. And then I really, I don't think we use this enough. I really don't. But matching gift opportunities. Don't overlook matching gifts as part of your peer-to-peer strategy. When your fundraisers can promote matching dollars, it boosts urgency and it doubles the impact, and if you think about it that way, it also positions your organization as one that maximizes every single gift, which is especially appealing to first-time donors brought through peer-to-peer appeals. I think peer-to-peer fundraising campaigns, why they're highly successful, but one of the most effective donor acquisition strategies, which is the peer-to-peer, because it does expand your reach through personal endorsements. When someone fundraising for you, they're giving your organization, again, that warm introduction. And let's not forget about that. So we'll talk a lot about peer-to-peer. It's really near and dear to me. And the last piece of this is, you could be thinking about like a GoFundMe. Don't. I think GoFundMe is a great product. And I just want to share this with you. Why? You're not, if you think about it on a GoFundMe, which is a great thing, it's an individual and they're going to write you one check. Using a peer-to-peer fundraising platform that's directly connected and somebody's giving on behalf of that individual that's hosting that peer-to-peer fundraising, you're capturing their information, and that's what's important. And that's why we're talking about the donor acquisition. But they should be getting a lot of other things, which we'll talk about, like automatic acknowledgments from a lot of different fronts. But this is a really amazing thing that you could do. And we'll be talking about examples, but peer-to-peer fundraising is not one size fits all. I've seen it, whether you're using for your internal donor database, whether you're using it for a sense of urgency and an outreach because maybe grants are being cut and you need to offset something. There's a lot of different ways, but those are just the beginning ideas on this. Moving forward, I truly see team fundraising as a true momentum in this. It empowers groups to work to raise funds, but when you're thinking about team fundraising, it's tapping into the power of peer-to-peer fundraising momentum. When people fundraise as a group, they hold each other accountable. I mean, you're setting up goals, you're asking as a captain, you're asking individuals. But when people fundraising as a group and they are holding these people accountable, they are building friendly competition, which is a nice competition. It could be organically extend the reach for beyond your immediate donor database. So you're looking outside of your donor database. It's really a proven strategy to drive higher participation and donations, even for those who can't attend an event. So, and I say event because there's a movement, not just about the team fundraising and how we could literally double when you're running an event by integrating and incorporating team fundraising. But adding team fundraising, and that's what we'll talk about, to an existing event. This is, I say it this way, I think it's a really great way, maybe a smarter way to build pre-event energy. It raises money before guests are even walking in the door. By launching a team campaign and leading up to your gala, or your dinner, or expanding your donor pipeline. It can create an early investment from your audience. I mean, people who can't attend can also contribute and feel included, which increases total giving. And I really, when you're looking at this, I love the picture up here because it was one of the organizations that has combined event registration, team fundraising, and peer-to-peer. And they're telling us it's doubling it. And this is an organization that's running, I don't know now, 5, 6, 7 events a year. We think that's a difficult thing, but they're expanding their reach because they're using so many different channels. But, if you think about the cultivating and increasing your donor involvement, you know, this is where engagement really does deepen. Team fundraising gives the supporters a platform to share why they care as well. I mean, this is, again, they're resonating, it's individuals, and they're doing this to their friends, right? When they create personal fundraising pages, they're telling their story, or your story in that case, right? They're no longer just donors. They become ambassadors for you. I mean, and that's another messaging. Can you imagine having multiple ambassadors and even if you didn't have an ambassador program today, right? That kind of emotional investment drives new donor acquisition and truly long-term loyalty. So even in the essentials of grants, and I got to offset that grant, it's a short term, but this is about long-term loyalty. And I love gamification, right? I mean, really what this is really is it turns fundraising into an experience. It's not just a request. Real-time leaderboards. I love real-time leaderboards for so many different reasons. You can see what your friend did, and a friend goes on, and oh, my friend did this, I got to give $50 more. Team progress dashboards. You should have dashboards up there so you can see it, whether it's an individual, whether it's the team. It makes it giving fun, it's competitive, and it's also social. So you're really expanding that reach. But campaigns can also raise significant more just by showing, who's winning in real time, because it should be real time. The leaderboard should be active. The donors that are coming on, you have leaderboards that are incorporating on this. You also should have the ability for social media and really, by pushing this out, not only to your friends, but also through social media. And it keeps people engaged and it encourages them to do just a little bit more for you.
Thank you for all of that great information, David. And I'm going to swing from something you just said into this slide, which is community, right? Everybody wants to belong. And I think peer-to-peer fundraising gives us, as nonprofit organizations and leaders, a real opportunity to bring people in and respect the fundraiser. We're asking them to find us new donors. We kind of are, without really saying that. So when we don't try to continue to build the relationship with the folks that our fundraisers have brought to us because we asked them to, it's not super respectful. We really do want to acknowledge the effort that those peer-to-peer fundraisers are putting in to spread the word and share the message about their campaign and their participation. So it's a win-win-win the way I look at it. So let's spend 1 minute just looking at stats, like what's happening in the peer-to-peer world these days in 2025. So up to 80% of your peer-to-peer donors don't know you. They're brand new to the organization. I've been doing this for a really long time, and I don't know any other type of campaign with this high of a percentage of brand new supporters coming in. We need to take advantage of that, especially now. The average retention rate for peer-to-peer donors, generally speaking, is about 20% year over year. So if Nicole starts a fundraiser, she asks me to donate, I make a first gift, there's really a 20% chance that I'm going to come back and give again. And that's our responsibility inside our organizations, not necessarily the fundraiser's responsibility. On average, all organization sizes, missions, budgets, the average gift is $124, which is pretty close to the average online donations. So I love to see that tracking. You will see gifts of all different sizes. I'm sure if you've done this in the past, you have seen that effect. Some people give $10, some people give more than 124, but that's a really healthy average gift size for a campaign. The average peer-to-peer participant has about 6 gifts coming into their campaign. So we've got to make sure that we're making it fast, fun, and easy. And you'll hear a lot more about that in a sec. For your fundraisers to go out and solicit more gifts. And this last stat I love because it really is the secret sauce to seeing more donations for each peer-to-peer fundraiser is if they make a gift themselves. As of last year in 2024, about 43% of peer-to-peer fundraisers participants made a self-donation, and there is a direct correlation between people who self-donate and the amount they raise versus people who don't self-donate and the amount they raise. So it's a great encouragement along the way from the time someone registers to participate till the event or the campaign is over. Keep asking them to make a gift, and maybe a small one. Next slide, Gabby. So why use peer-to-peer as part of your acquisition strategy? Well, we could just stick a fork in it from all the reasons and rationale that David gave us a couple of minutes ago. And frankly, I've seen our industry change its tune on really considering peer-to-peer donors as donors that they can keep. About 10 years ago, people were like, too much work. I have enough new donors. Can you imagine saying that? I've got enough new donors. Those peer-to-peer guys are over here. I'm not going to do anything special with them. We are in a different world. And I would say over the past 3 to 5 years, I have seen organizations do amazing things with retention and relationship building with these peer-to-peer donors. They're a significant source of new donors. It builds on the efforts that your participants have sort of, laid the foundation for you to walk on. It definitely expands your supporter network, strengthens ties within your community, as David mentioned, and it improves your fundraising efficiency. The more of these peer-to-peer donors you can keep, the fewer brand new donors you have to worry about finding. So it's very efficient and effective. It does take a slightly different approach than someone who comes in and hits your website and finds your Arreva form and makes a quick and easy first-time gift. That's acquisition strategy A. Peer-to-peer donors need something slightly different, and it's easy to give it to them. They're not really your donors yet. This is my opinion. They have given you a gift, but they don't really know you. They gave because someone they trust asked them to. So in the good old donor pyramid here on the right-hand side, you can see, we've got the fewest major donors up at the top. Monthly donors or sustainers is next. We got a little bit more of them. One-time donors comes next. We have the most of them. Then there's action takers, people who have done something else like follow you on social media or complete a survey or something like that. They're not donors yet, but they've taken an action directly with you. So they're a little bit easier to convert into becoming a financial supporter. Then we have subscribers. Those are people who just sign up to get your email. Again, an action they took themselves with you and your online sign-up form. And then down at the bottom, we've got peer-to-peer donors. They are the least connected to us directly, and that's why the acquisition strategy needs to be a little bit different for those folks than all these other folks in the pyramid. I'm going to talk about the bottom half of this slide, and then David, I'm going to kick it over to you to go through the stats at the top, and then we're going to get into Nicole's juicy success stories and case studies. So going left to right, bottom row, here's the blockers that I find most of us struggle with in really retaining our brand new peer-to-peer donors. Again, don't have a direct relationship with them. That's kind of job number one. It is a one-time engagement. Like I got a campaign, I've got an event, a capital campaign. It's got a beginning, a middle, and an end. And when it ends, it's really easy to consider that relationship over. Limited donor data. This is where using an all-in-one system like an Arreva is the sweet spot for you because we do not have time or sometimes even the skills to take the data about our peer-to-peer donors out of our peer-to-peer system, push it into our CRM, start to message them. When you've got an all-in-one platform, it removes all of those barriers and makes it much simpler and easier for you and your team to tackle. Inconsistent messaging. I hear this a lot. Well, I don't know them. It was one thing to talk to them about the campaign or the peer-to-peer fundraiser, but what do I do with them after that? And we've got some advice for you coming up in a little bit. And no follow-up plan. Your peer-to-peer donor acquisition strategy needs to be part of your campaign strategy. You need to think that up at the beginning and set it all up when you're setting up your peer-to-peer fundraising tools so that it is ready to go. As new donors come in, make that first gift, you can then begin to build the relationship right away. David, you want to walk us through the stats at the top, please?
Yeah, no, I love what you're saying because I have so many thoughts on what you just said, and we could probably spend the rest of the time, and then everybody will
Webinar
lose out not
two,
here.
maybe.
Yeah, but it's not surprising that 70% of nonprofits say that donor acquisition is one of their organization's top three fundraising challenges because we're always hearing about the decline in donor acquisition, right? The decline in retention. And retention doesn't mean that they lost the donor. Retention could be, this donor gave me $1, for 10 years, and now they give me 50 cents, right? And I could walk into that, but there's a lot of challenges out there, increased competition for, donors' attention and demographic changes today, right? It started with COVID, right? And people are moving around. So there was a decline because of these things. You know, when you think about donor engagement, more than 70% cite donor engagement, donor retention among their top three because there is a decline. But let's just talk about a little bit about the stats. And in the giving report this year, which came out, it was found that individuals made up 66% of charitable giving. But when you think about the 30%, the national average donor retention rate, and if you're looking at it from that perspective, this means that 7 out of 10 donors aren't giving again. So retention isn't just a fundraising issue. It's a data and engagement. Maureen, you said it about engagement issue. It really is. And I could talk about stats and responses, but with the right software, you can automate stewardship. You can track donor behavior. You can re-engage your donors with really personalized messaging that will drive loyalty. So when I say this is 7 out of 10, these are some of the things that you need to think about, that responsiveness. Only 19% of first-time donors give again of the following year. So that stats is a wake-up call. It has to be a wake-up call. First-time donors aren't raising their hands. What do we do next that matters, right? Our, software, and I talk about this because software needs to empower you and enable you that will help you immediately nurture through impact stories. Software should allow you to get these impact stories out. Smart email workflows should be a little bit differently and changing it. And timely follow-ups. I talk about this all the time to turn those one-time gifts into lasting relationships. I don't want to divert, but if you're not responding within 48 to 72 hours, which is a positive, and I know how much we are all so busy, but you got back to them in 30 days or 45 days, and you hang up, and most people polite, and they hang up, they look at their spouse, they look at their partner, they look at themselves and said, I guess mine wasn't that important. They're not going to give again. You got to really think about those things. 70% of nonprofits cite donor acquisition, as we talked about, is the top three fundraising challenges today. But acquisition is getting harder and it's getting more expensive, but you can make it smarter. by leveraging a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign, using digital interactions, using predictive analytics, you can really reach out to the right people. And that's the other thing, being able to segment certain things and understand those analytics. It's no longer a one-time fits all. It's going to be the right place. It's going to be at the right time. And without burning your budget and your people. I mean, it's a challenge, but you can certainly do that today. When you look at the 3.3% increase in charitable giving dollars in 2024, and this was truly adjusted for inflation, this is a positive sign. But growth isn't automatic. It favors organizations that are truly agile and data-driven. And the nonprofit's best position to benefit of those who are already actively using donor insights and automation and sort of omni-channel strategies are staying ahead. So just think about those things when you're looking at this and how your software can do this. And the last thing is, individuals make up 66% of charitable giving, and this just came out with the giving report. But individuals giving is still driving this sector. I mean, you got to think about that. And by the way, I apologize. I don't remember the exact statistics, but those 66% of donors are also giving another 12 or 15% on bequests. So you got to think about that from that perspective. So again, this is 2/3 of all dollars that are coming in. That's why some sort of tech stack must be built to engage, individuals and being able to scale this, from one-click giving to personalized outreach and reoccurring giving programs. This will really help you make every dollar feel like it's the most important one. So just those are some of the thoughts on the stats.
Thanks, David. And to your point and Maureen's point about moving data, we would love to know how many of you are having to move that peer-to-peer data into your donor relationship management database.
Too many, maybe too many.
Give it a few more seconds. We have a lot of answers coming in. Great information.
But this is one of the reasons why, when you're moving data and having silos too, why we're collecting this. This is one of the, not the only, but it's one of the reasons on reacting and getting that acknowledgement to those individuals faster, plus having an automated system that's allowing you to get an automatic thank you acknowledgement receipt, allowing the host to be acknowledged and allowing the nonprofit to see who just gave whatever immediately. And if you're already applying best practices, it allows you to streamline those best practices faster.
Thanks, David. And we can see here 47% of you are having to move that data, 36% of you are not, and 18% of you are not sure you have to move that data.
Let's change that. Let's improve that stat.
All right, and we're going to pass it over to Nicole.
All righty. Well, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I'm thrilled once again to be here with Arreva and share all the creative ways that we've used peer-to-peer fundraisers and the real impact that they've made on our mission at the Ronald McDonald House Charities of South Florida. But before we dive in, I just want to give you a brief overview of who we are. So RMHC was co-founded in 1974 by Dr. Audrey Evans. She was a trailblazing pediatric oncologist who recognized the importance of keeping families close during their child's medical treatment. She really believed, and research today has confirmed, that a family's presence can make all the difference in the child's recovery. And that powerful insight became our mission, which is to keep families close during some of the most challenging moments of their lives. So our charity, I will say, although the goal is to better the lives of children, we are a family charity. We have to take care of everybody in the family. And while McDonald's is a founding partner, many people are surprised to learn that they actually do not fund us. We are a 501c3 organization, and there are over 392 chapters around the world today, most of them being here in the United States, but we're all individually operated. And although we have the same mission, we're all different. And so a fun fact about our chapter here in South Florida is that over 80% of the donations that we receive on a yearly basis come from individuals and grassroots supporters. So peer-to-peer fundraising has helped us turn that community support into action. And today I'll share all the different ways that we've been able to use peer-to-peer fundraising whenever we have supporters and volunteers join. We go to the next slide. So right here on this slide, you'll see that's a list of some of our fundraisers that have been active, and they're for different reasons. We actively encourage peer-to-peer fundraising by offering to set up their pages, for example. We always mention this as a way to help. Anytime we have a brand new volunteer or donor that comes in for a tour and says, well, what can I do? How can I get involved? This is always one of those options that we give them because there's so much you can do with it. We also, it's pretty easy to set up, I will say. So we always offer to set it up for them. And that kind of gets us to get them, you know, involved. And we'll ask them, hey, send me a photo you'd like to use, a title, maybe a description you can share with your friends. And we'll set it all up for them. We'll show it to them. If they want any changes, we'll go ahead and do it. We ask them, what would your goal be? When do you want to begin this? When do you want to end it? We do all of that for them because it's pretty easy. We also, of course, offer them the option to do it themselves, but it's just a fun way to empower people who want to help. They're just not sure how. And so we also suggested, we really push also the birthday fundraiser idea because it's a fun and easy way to get involved. And so in lieu of gifts, you can basically have a birthday fundraiser, which I know many of you have heard of it and probably seen it on Facebook. But having this platform be tied is just so much easier because we skip the fees and all of that information. And it's just a direct way for us to be able to track who these donors are, because with Facebook, sometimes you can't see that. So we're able to gather all that data and thank them, you know, for supporting a friend who decided to start this. And we always keep creativity in the mix. So for example, this past fall, a local singer wanted to help, and she wanted to, after taking a tour of the house, she decided she'd like to help remodel our dining area. So we needed to raise funds to buy new furniture. So new tables and chairs for families to sit and dine comfortably and do activities. And so we offered the peer-to-peer fundraiser as a way for her to help raise funds. And so we gave her the goal. She put in her picture on there, a description. She had her special link, and she just blasted this through her social media pages, through email blast. And so she was able to raise those funds for us to then be able to buy brand new furniture. And so we had her come over and thank her followers and everyone for getting involved because it was a group effort. So we can move on to the next slide. Another way that we're using peer-to-peer and where it's really helped us is we are actually currently in a major capital campaign to build and expand our Ronald McDonald House here in South Florida. And this is a $33 million project that began with a silent phase about 2 years ago. And now we're ramping up for public support. And so peer-to-peer fundraising is a fun and key piece of this strategy. And it's already kind of helping us reach new audiences. And we hope that this is something that we can really use once we go into the public phase. And one example of that is a group of local students from the Kellogg School of Business. They came into the Ronald House to volunteer. And after taking a tour, we told them about the campaign, and they said that they'd want to get involved. And so we offered the peer-to-peer fundraiser if that's something they'd be interested in. And so they went ahead and set one up, and they have a goal right now of $50,000 to name a room in the new house after the Kellogg School of Business and their cohort. And so what they've done is not only are they sharing their link, you know, with each class, but anytime that they have a fundraiser, like they had a casino night recently, the funds raised at that casino night will come towards this. And so we can go into the back end and we can update those funds that we receive so that their goal bar goes up. Another similar story are two University of Miami football players. They also really wanted to get involved with the local charity. And so again, they learned about the campaign. They were so excited, and they have a goal of $100,000 that they want to raise towards the new house. And so we offered this, and they also started a peer-to-peer fundraiser with their special link. They've blasted on social media, they've sent emails, and they're actually doing a golf tournament tomorrow in benefit of this. And so whatever they raise, we'll go ahead and, similar to Collect School, we'll update that bar. And so again, this is just different ways that your own, I guess, in the case of the players, their personal passions can kind of drive that real impact here forward. We'll move on to the next one.
I love all of these. Nicole, my hat is off. I'm telling you, you're like the queen of creativity here. This is unique. I don't hear a lot of folks who are running capital campaigns as they get into the public phase to use peer-to-peer, and I think it is brilliant. You can create, champion fundraisers with contacts of yours, whether it's volunteers or your board members or folks who are leaders in your community. Super the power of the people, right? Leveraging different milestones in your campaign. We all know what the quiet phase is about. That's when you get your big gifts, fewer big gifts. Maybe,
Exactly.
as David suggested, a matching campaign, right? Like we're looking to match $50,000. We are looking for peer-to-peer fundraisers to help us raise that money. And then highlighting impact at every level. Typical folks, like all of us here, maybe not all of us here, but me, capital campaigns feel like bigger than me. I'm not going to write a check for 20 grand to Nicole, even if I love her organization. But boy, giving me an opportunity to give at my comfort level and be part of the capital campaign is a winner. I love all of this.
Wonderful, Maureen. And I wanted to go ahead also and share another fun example that was done this past fall. So we had a property management company reach out to us, and they decided they wanted to do a fundraiser and a competition amongst the properties. And what they did is we created this wonderful page, which you see there on screen, where they had an overall goal that they wanted to raise amongst the 14 properties. And for each time that they donated a minimum of $10, a teddy bear would be donated to the Ronald McDonald House, apart from the donations. And so we created this, and every property had their own unique link. So the property managers were able to share this with their residents, and the residents were able to donate directly to their property. And so it was kind of a fun competition because you can see on the page the overall goal that was being raised, but also what each individual property was able to raise. So it was a fun 6-week competition. And in December, they went ahead and came to the Ronald House and gave us like a dummy check presentation and dropped off all the teddy bears. But this was such a great way to, once again, get more engagement from our community and really reach even more residents that may not know about us. So it was a great awareness campaign. And again, it was just a fun and sweet way to give back. It was easy, and we were able to get all these donations straight into RMUC without any, middle aspects.
So great. Friendly competition. I mean, this is how peer-to-peer fundraising started. People running marathons, right? The Boston Marathon, people would form a team and you had to raise a certain amount, or 5Ks for cause and cure organizations. Because as humans, many of us have a little competitive edge. And as David said, as we were prepping for this session today, we want nice competition, not aggressive competition. This is tapping into good things about competing against other groups. I often see organizations struggle with this, getting local businesses involved. How do we do this? So using peer-to-peer, super smart way to do it. You can identify businesses that are already aligned with you, folks who maybe sponsor galas or contribute items to auctions. making it fun and easy and quick is the only way we're going to do it in 2025. If I have to stop and think or figure out how to use something on my phone or a laptop, you've lost me. So fun and easy and having the right software that doesn't take a lot of customization to make it easy for a donor or a participant to use. Chef's kiss right there. And then the other suggestion here for competition is theme weeks. One thing I've seen work really well is if an organization reaches out to like all the coffee shops in their areas or all the fitness studios or restaurants, gets those staff to compete against the other restaurants to see who can raise the most money. It's a great way to find other like-minded organizations who support your work and your mission and sort of pitch them against each other in a friendly way. And then, hold a celebration for the winner. There's a local company here out on the Cape that donates a certain percentage of their revenue every month to a nonprofit organization. And then for end of year, they have donations for the top receiving organizations, and it's on social media, it's on Facebook and Instagram, and I follow it at the end of the year just to see which organization kind of came out on top.
Yes, so I'm also happy to share another example of friendly competition. And as David mentioned earlier, adding peer-to-peer fundraising to an event can create a sense of pre-event excitement. It builds momentum and it helps generate awareness and engage supporters months before the event even begins. And for the first time ever this year, we brought this approach to one of our signature events, which is the 12 Good Men Luncheon. It's an annual luncheon that honors 12 men in our community who have generously dedicated their time and talents to their charity of choice, not necessarily RMHC. And it's a fun, meaningful way to recognize them for their service, but also we're introducing them to RMHC and our mission. And so with Arreva support, we created a peer-to-peer fundraising page for each honoree. And we set a goal of $1,200, and each honoree received a personal fundraising link that they could share with their family and their friends. And this was a fun way to get their supporters to support them. We've many times before, there may be some supporters who can't attend, but would like to maybe make a donation in their honor. And so this approach offers a more authentic exposure than the traditional, you can buy a congratulatory ad for them. So we're kind of eliminating that expense and letting people just donate directly to the charity on behalf of them. And then the honoree gets notified each time somebody makes a donation in their honor. So they're able to thank them personally if they'd want to. So it's a win-win. And like I said, these are all just a few examples of how flexible and impactful peer-to-peer fundraising can be, from birthday campaigns to the capital campaign project to corporate competitions or even our major events. This really does empower supporters to share our mission in their own way. One big thing that I always say is you're able to customize it, you're able to personalize it, you're able to put your picture on there, and people really like that. And it makes it feel more authentic. And it's a fun way, again, to deepen that community engagement, amplify our visibility. And so this is all data that we then receive and we're able to follow up, which Maureen will talk a little bit more about post events and fundraising. Yeah. But with the right platform and some creativity, you can definitely do a lot and it becomes a movement.
Nicole, one thing in this slide that kind of blew my mind is the second bullet where you say Arreva helps you set up the peer-to-peer pages. This is very rare and unusual. I do not see software companies, and I work with a whole bunch of them, actually offer to build peer-to-peer fundraising pages for their customers. So game changer, really unique, and it really speaks to how closely Arreva pays attention to the success of their customers. So salute to you guys, the Arreva team.
Yeah.
Maureen, thanks for that plug. I love it.
And Dave, I will shamelessly share this. We've had, for example, the Windsor Property Management Company, they had seen something similar somewhere else, and I was able to share this idea with Arreva, and boom, it worked. So thank you.
Well, after the fact, and that was really the beginning, after the campaign's over, I think it's really important. It shouldn't end. It really shouldn't in many different ways. But I'll just talk about a little bit. And I talk about this a lot of time on a lot of our educational webinars, but acknowledging and appreciating donors as soon as you can is so important to retention, engagement, acknowledgement. I mean, their contributions truly are essential in building strong relationships and really encouraging continued support. That's really what it's about. And I don't mean it to simplify it. I could get into a little bit more of how to do that, but acknowledging and showing gratitude to your donors, your volunteers, your board members is more than just good manners. It's a key driver of, and I'm going to reiterate this over and over, but a key driver to donor retention, satisfaction, and long-term support. This is what you can get out of this if you really use it right. And here's a few things, but let's just talk about some of the bullets. We talk about timeliness is key, right? I really do. I look at stats. I talk to board members. I talk to volunteers. We talk to so much, but it's for everybody. Everybody wants some sort of level. And I could tell you stories because I live both worlds. I live the donor world. I live the volunteer world. I love being involved in this, but expressing gratitude immediately, and what's immediately? We'll talk about that. But after receiving a donation, it reinforces to the donors that their contribution is valued and impactful. And I mean it. It doesn't matter whether it was $5 because maybe that donor someday will give you $10,000 or $1 million. I've seen it. Also just using some practical steps. But if you're not having this today and you need it, we could talk about it. But using an automatic acknowledgement to send a thank you and a message with moments, instantaneous. I talk about it instantaneously, but because our system isn't instantaneous, by messaging immediately, after they receive a donation, you can customize. And I talk about this when we do this. It's an automatic custom, automatic thank you acknowledgement receipt, right? You can build automatic templates for each one of these, whether it's a donation, whether it's an event, whether it's a peer-to-peer fundraising, whether it's team fundraising, but you want a donor specific that's detailed. Use their names, and I don't take anything lightly, but use their names, use their donation amount, and make them feel that that message is truly personalized, not just a generic card printout. And for larger donations, and it's all relative. You may know somebody that it may be a smaller donation, but for larger donations, follow up. And I say this whether it's a small or a large, but follow up with a personal message. Pick up the phone. And you've got to do this realistically within 48 hours to make a lasting impression. I could tell you stories about that. I know I don't have time on this, but I could tell you many stories that has gone through myself and the experience that I have, and where I don't give anymore and where I do give anymore. But, when you talk about personalization of creating connections, right? Address donors by name, reference them with their specific contribution, or the relationship they have with your organization. But mention the specific campaign that they helped or the program their donation supported. I have so many different examples, but you could say, hey, thank you, Sarah, for helping us providing 100 meals to the families in need through our holiday hunger relief program, right? Be specific on it, relate to it. Use your donor data from your donor relationship management database can really help personalize acknowledgments even further. For reoccurring donations, include language recognizing their ongoing support. I mean, they want to hear this. It's a little bit beyond just a standard thank you. We talk about using multiple ways to show gratitude, and I think there are a lot of different ways. Go beyond the traditional emails. Demonstrate your appreciation in the ways that resonate with the donors. I mean, our audience today are so different, right? You have different generational gaps, you have different needs, you have it's challenging today. There's no doubt about it. But sending a handwritten thank you note, it's timeless, it's personal, it gives a personal touch that leaves a lasting impression. Make personal phone calls from the leadership team or for board members to express those type of gratitudes. Phone calls are probably one of the most important, impactful things, more than you could ever imagine. Um, and exclusive donor appreciation events. I mean, I know we have a lot of events and it's for raising money, but what about a donor appreciation event? Provide, in doing this, you could provide behind the scenes updates as a way to engage them even more deeply, right? Maybe having a special tour of your facility, or maybe you have a special speaker that you can bring in and they're a VIP because you're acknowledging them in a different way. These things are really meaningful. People remember these things. And then I always talk about measuring and tracking and improving. I mean, I live and breathe and die this. I mean, our moderator, Gabby, does this amazing in our own aspect of it. And I've seen when we do this, how impactful it is, but continuously refining your acknowledgement strategy to improve donor satisfaction is key. We are always looking at what's working, what's not working, but track your donor engagement through your thank you emails, your calls, your notes. Are they opening those emails? I mean, that's really what I mean. I mean, if you're sending it, are they opening it? If you're sending it an automatic thank you, are they attending your events after these things? Surveys are great. I mean, we talk about surveys a lot. I know it's sometimes hard to do that. Don't make it hard. And yes, I know we have 5 minutes left, so I'm going to try and do this a little bit faster. I appreciate that. But handwritten notes are a favorite among donors, and it really does help. And I think, we'll just skip to the last, but building loyalty, personal, timely gratitude strengthens the emotional connections of others to give. And we can talk about those, and recognizing appreciation always. But I think just a few takeaways on this. Timely acknowledgements make a lasting impression. Tailoring your messages to each donor, names, history, giving history and things like that. Combining automation with personal touches. Don't think just an automatic thank you is always going to do it, and celebrate individual supporters in public ways. So go ahead, Gabby.
Gabby, should we get to, I know we've got more content to present, but I want to respect the time and the ability for Q&A. I'll just tag on to what David just said, which is we all know we're being tracked. We all expect that information is going to be used to give us a better personalized experience. And when your email tool is connected to your CRM, makes it super easy to do all that stuff. So Gabby, as our leader and moderator here, how would you like to use the rest of the time?
Well, we do have some quick questions that have come in through the chat that they kind of focus on what the next few slides cover. So I don't know, Maureen, if you want to touch on these really quickly.
Sure.
On just different stewardship, and then we can go right into those questions.
Yep. So these are new peer-to-peer donors, folks that are not in your file. First gift came in through a peer-to-peer campaign. These are some suggestions on the left-hand side of the kinds of communication you can send to them before the event, if there is an event, or an end to the campaign. And then on the right-hand side, things to do after. I find organizations get a little stumped, like, what do we do when this thing is over? How do I continue to communicate with them, build that relationship? Some stuff you can do on the right-hand side. And then Gabby, the next slide is about communicating with returning peer-to-peer donors, folks who came in last year. Nicole had a great campaign. Somebody asked me to give, and I gave last year, and I did it again this year to their birthday fundraiser, for example. What could we do for those returners? They're less cold. They obviously like us as an organization and want to give us a second gift, so they are closer to us as an organization. So on the left-hand side, some things you can do before the event, And again, after the event, acknowledging that they are returning, not treating them like they're brand new, making sure that they know that you know that they've been here before.
Love it.
And getting creative, last tip here is if these are brand new people, you can mix it up a little bit. You can get a little mixy with this crew. Change up the tone, use different imagery, play with video. Great pool of supporters to experiment with before you use any tactics with your general donor population. Nicole, anything to add here? I think you do this in your campaigns.
Yeah, and one thing that I want to mention that I saw on the question is about engagement and maybe college students that might not have a lot of money to donate. But like I mentioned earlier, we're the kind of charity, we don't really receive big grants or anything. It's small donations that add up, and that's what makes a difference for us. And for us, awareness is everything. That's a win for us. So I think creating, first of all, making it easy to create those peer-to-peer fundraisers. Maybe someone doesn't have the time to log in and do it. If you can help them, set it up for them and send them their link, send them messaging that they can put on social media. I mean, we've created templates before that are easy, very generic, that says, I support RMAC, I support families. On Canva, you can create different templates. It'll make you one for a post, for a story, write a short little caption, share it with them. And if those students can go ahead and share it with their networks, then that's where you'll probably gain more donations. You know, they probably have like those connections with professors or mentors that might be able to give a little bit more. So I would say making it easy, I guess, giving them some assets to share.
Just ask yourselves
where we have found some success.
Just ask yourselves, what would Nicole do? And like stalk her website and her fundraising campaigns, because I think they're models for all of us to follow.
That's great, Maureen. We have a ton of questions that are coming in.
Okay.
Really quickly, a lot are focused on technology and what is the technology that you can run these type of peer-to-peer campaigns from. So before we get to those questions, I wanted to just pass it over to David and Maureen really quick to touch on that.
Yeah, no, I'm going to do this really quick so we can get to as many questions as we can. For those that don't know who Arreva is, we've been around for 35 years. We have thousands of clients worldwide, primarily here in the United States. Our clients have done many different types of events through different applications that we do provide. And the nice thing that I'm very proud of, we have a staff that really understands philanthropy, the nonprofit industry, and this is why we've designed our applications specifically for the nonprofit industry. We also work with many national organizations, but what we really have done is solved a problem in the industry. And I know, I think the stats said 47% of you are moving data. And honestly, this is probably one of the reasons why there's been a delay in acknowledgement. Maybe there's a decline in donor acquisition. And there's a lot of other things. But when you do have inconsistent acknowledgement and inconsistent ability to respond on a timely manner, this will affect you. It does have a trickle effect. And the way that we've solved that, and I know Nicole is a great user and Maureen is recommending, is our product. It's one product. It's an Exceed Further. It's an all-in-one online fundraising, donor relationship management database, healthcare hospitality for organizations like the Ronald McDonald houses and healthcare networks, and auction software. But the difference is it has one unified database. So you're no longer moving data. It eliminates that data movement. It allows you to really focus on donor acquisition, retention, and acknowledgement. And we do provide a lot of amazing services for our clients. And because of not just the software, but all the support that even they mentioned, whether you're setting up a team fundraising, the things that we love to do, we're a very socially conscious company. We do a lot of things because we want to help you succeed. And we have over a 95% retention rate. And again, it's one solution with one single database. So if you want to learn more about that, I'd love to talk to you, but more than that. So with that, Gabby, I'll turn it back to you. Thank you.
Thanks, David. There is a poll on your screen right now. If you'd like to learn more about Arreva's software and solutions, go ahead and hit yes, and someone from our team will be in touch with you shortly.
So this is me as we continue to get ready for the questions. I'm a nonprofit digital strategist, business analyst, and technology coach. And kind of what that means is I help nonprofit teams of all sizes, all missions, take control of their stuff, their systems and their data so they can do two things really well: provide a great experience to their supporters and work efficiently without tears on the administrative side. You know, we all have these things, email marketing tools and volunteer systems and event registration systems and CRMs. And if they don't work together, why have them? We're living in spreadsheets. That's what we're doing in 2025. And there's no source of truth that we can count on. And so my consultancy is really designed to help decrease nonprofit accidental techies, which is all of us, their technology and data pain, and increase their return on investment. It's really easy to blame the software or the data for the problems that we have. Sometimes it's us, it's our business processes, or we're not working with a company that is set up to support us as kind of amateur users of really powerful platforms. That's where, the business relationship can fall apart if you feel like you're not being supported, which is what makes Arreva, to me anyway, stand out in a very crowded market. So I help people figure out what the root cause of their pains or the inability to get something off the ground and come back with recommendations. I do a ton of assessments and action plans. I do a lot of software evaluation and selection projects where I help eliminate any unpleasant surprises after a contract is signed. And I also do a lot of engagement strategies to help you get the most out of your software, raise more money, reach more people. So please, if you want to get in touch with me, just fill out this poll and I would love to have a free consult with you.
Thank you, Maureen. All right, well, we have a lot of great questions in the chat box. I'm going to go ahead and read through a few of these. All right, so first one, we have been doing a peer-to-peer campaign for 35 years, the Walk Run for Animals, which has raised $275,000 this year. During this 3-month campaign, 76% of people who registered don't fundraise. They come to the event, but they don't participate in the peer-to-peer aspect. Any tips to get them to fundraise? We offer fundraising prizes, team competitions, an email drip campaign, how-to videos, etc. Is this normal? How can we improve this?
It is normal, and you can decide what you want to do with it. I bet Nicole's got some tips. Do you do the carrot, which is you give them more stuff, or do you do the stick, which is like, we're going to charge you to register and we're going to use that revenue instead of money that you might be raising for us? Nicole, what have you found works for your org?
Yeah, so it is a common problem. And I will say, I'll even bring in 12 good men. There are, out of the 12, maybe 2 or 3 that didn't really participate. Some just gave one donation, and so that's common too. And but I guess in this case, because this is an event, and maybe because we've experienced this too, we had a pickleball tournament last year where people just were so competitive. They're there for a tournament, they want to play it, they're not that interested. They know they're supporting the charity, but that's to the extent that they go. So maybe adding a quick fundraising prompt maybe during registration, like, hey, kick off your impact with a $25 donation, and getting them, maybe there's a way to get them to begin their fundraising page and remind them. And then of course, I know that you did mention, you send out emails and stuff, but more follow-ups, and giving them messaging that makes them feel like, listen, if you were to share this, there's bragging behind all this, and you'll be, I don't know, well, the day of the tournament or the walk or the run, they'll be, honored, which is something that we were doing with 12 Good Men. Apart from honoring them, whoever raised the most amount of funds will give them a special recognition throughout the luncheon. Not everyone cares about it, so that's different, but there's other ways that maybe at the start of registration, I would say that's a good way to really put in that message and remind them.
You know, I want to, I love the question, but I also want to make you feel good. The national benchmark shows that 70 to 80% of registrations not fundraising is very typical. So don't feel bad, especially with legacy events. But I'll give you some of other tips. You know, depending upon how you shift, you're setting this up, shift the focus to fundraising at the registration. Make fundraising the primary call to action during the sign up. Don't just ask them maybe to attend, but ask them to commit to raising a specific amount. Try pre-selecting fundraising goals or asking for self-donations at first. If you, again, I know it's not always easy, but the ask is important. I think personal outboarding, touching people, you know, add a welcome call or a personalized text message that someone registered, you know, maybe providing with a warm message and here's how to start a fundraising page. A lot of people are scared. They don't know how to do it. You have to make it easy. So,
Right.
you know, people often don't take action because they just don't feel confident or connected. Sometimes, you know, share stories and quotes from other participants who fundraise successfully and giving them examples. I've seen like the AFA as an example, giving different stories, creating leaderboards are really great, or fundraising spotlights, highlight active participants on your website, you know, do it through social media. I mean, and again, reducing the friction. You've got to make it incredibly easy to start. I talk about this all the time with Arreva. One click away.
Yeah.
Everything has to be one click away. It has to be mobile optimized. The fundraising pages where they can do it on their phone. Make things easy. Make messages through email, Facebook, Instagram, social media. So I could go on and on about these tips, but there's other ways that we could possibly help.
Yeah, one more thought, Gabby, before we get to the next question is, since this is an established event and you've been doing it for a long time, I might pull a little focus group together after the event is over for people who have participated more than once and have not raised any money, and open it up warmly. This is not like, we're not going to say, why didn't you fundraise? But we really are coming with curiosity. We're not sure what else we could be doing. What's getting in your way? And don't guess, but get some information from the participants themselves.
Thank you, Maureen.
That's a great idea.
All right, next question. This comes from Kim. We run a robust Giving Tuesday campaign. How do we follow up sooner when we have a very small development team? What software do you recommend to automate?
Something that can automate, you know, like your fundraising tools, your online fundraising tools get a lot of action at end of year, especially Giving Tuesday. And so you need to be able to do two things. One is quickly send effusive, there's no such thing as too much thanks. So David, you and I are on the same page about that. Warm, immediate, thank you so much. Not transactional, relational. Keep that in mind. They're going to get their transaction so they can claim it on their taxes if that's what they're doing, but it's about people to people. So the minute someone makes a donation, you should be able to send a custom autoresponder that's personalized in some way to them, and a software like Arreva will do that. And then after Giving Tuesday, you can do a more luxurious kind of follow-up. David, is that what you recommend to your Arreva clients?
Yeah, you know, a short answer to this, because I think most people that know me, I could talk for a long time about this because I'm very passionate to help the nonprofits. But, you know, with a small team development, automation is your best friend. I mean, you've got to follow up faster without adding headcount. You need tools that will automate personalized outreach, track donor behavior, and streamline. And honestly, I'm not here to share it with you, but Arreva, through our Exceed Further flagship product, does just that. I mean, Nicole, you're a user, you could probably attest to that. But, you know, since you're asking, and, you know, Arreva is an all-in-one solution. It's built specifically for these type of small environments, medium environments, but, you know, automating gift acknowledgments, sending out customized drip campaigns, tracking donor engagements, wealth screening. Maureen, we talked about wealth screening too, and having that integrated with a platform, which we have done this with Donor Search and Wealth Engine. It integrates events, it integrates online giving, and it integrates the peer-to-peer data into one view. I mean, if you're using a third-party email marketing to get this out, is that integrated with your current, donor relationship management? We have our own email communications, but if you're doing more mass, even if you're a small organization and you like MailChimp or Constant Contact or Vertical Response, we've also integrated with those platforms. But, thank yous, impact trips, I mean, all of these things, but we do and provide and can help you with a lot of those things.
Yeah, your technology should extend the capacity of your team, not be a capacity drain on your team. Think of plan the automations, set them up ahead of time so that they're ready to go. A little bit of time up front saves you a ton of time later.
Thanks, Maureen. Speaking of Arreva, we do have one poll that did come in. How do I sort my Arreva database to show me just peer-to-peer donors? That is something that you are able to do within the platform, but I will reach out to our support team to make sure to get in touch with you today to help you figure that out. If you did want to learn more about Arreva, I know there's been a lot of talk about it. There is a poll up on the screen. You can request more information and we can discuss how we might be able to help you. I know we are way over time. I'll do one last question that has come in. I've experienced about 10% of donors that have experienced an inability to donate and have switched credit cards to complete a donation. These are relatively technology savvy donors. Any idea what the problem is?
Oh, I think we need more information, Gabby, about the experience of the donor. People can be super technically savvy, and if it's hard to use your form, or there's things that are not super intuitive, or maybe it doesn't work well on a small device, all of those things can be hurdles that could be a problem. The other thing, when you talked about switching credit cards, maybe it's not with you, but it's with their payment processor, right? It's something further upstream that you don't have a lot of control over. Again, Gabby, if someone wants to ping me after the fact, feel free to provide my contact info, and I'd be happy to hear a little bit more and give you a couple of directions to go in to solve that, because that's annoying.
Yeah, and also I guess we'd have to learn to what platform you're using. I will say, experience with the Ronald House, we've had one of the common issues has been maybe entering the wrong billing address, by one digit, having the wrong zip code. That can make a big difference. So learning a little bit more about that. So I will say you're not alone. We've also experienced small little things like that, but it's a matter of seeing, depending on the platform you're using. With Arreva, we're able to see why it was declined, whether it be that they made a little mistake on this end. We can see that error ahead of time, and we get notified hey, someone's trying to make a donation, but on their end maybe they're entering something incorrect or they missed a field. So that's always very helpful.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's a lot of different areas, and Maureen, you're absolutely right. I'm glad, Nicole, I know you haven't experienced a lot of this, but the system should protect you from certain things as well on this, whether, especially if a bank or card issuer is declining. It's typically, I won't say it's always the system, and it shouldn't be, but many banks automatically flag or block certain donations. I mean, it even could be the way that you actually set it up, because if you put a threshold in there that says, I don't want to, I want to question whether it's over $1,000 or $5,000, and even during your setup time, if you set it up a certain way and then somebody gave you 10,000 and it was declined, you're sitting there thinking, why was it declined? And then you go back. I mean, there's so many different ways. Maybe they didn't put in, they're very strict. Gateways have to be more strict than ever because there's so much fraud. But if they put in the wrong, CVV setting, or they mistype their zip code, you want to make sure you're very well protected. So don't assume immediately that it was and I don't care whether you're using Arreva or not, but whether you're using Arreva software or somebody else's software, you got to go back and look, because we've had clients oh my God, upset, of course, because they didn't get that donation. It was a big user. But then when we went back and looked at it, it was the way that they set up their settings of saying anything more than $5,000, screen it, because there's a charge, right, for fraud or something these days. It's really incredible. There's a lot of other
Yeah.
things about, gateway friction, but like Maureen said, if we could understand it, we could share it with you. We've done a really great job with our merchant provider to prevent a lot of this stuff, but it still does happen because fraud is so scary today. And I don't know why these bots are attacking the nonprofits of these donations. I've seen it more and more. Maybe they're checking these credit cards out and then go stealing it with
That's
Home
exactly
Depot.
what
I
they're
mean,
doing.
I don't know
Yeah.
why, but I wish I had the exact solution. But there's a lot. It was a great question.
Well, those were all the questions we had. I know we went over time. Thank you for everyone who remained on. Thank you, Nicole, for joining today. Thank you, Maureen, for your great insights. And thank you, David, always for your excellent advice. You will get a recorded copy of the session as well as a copy of the PowerPoint. So you'll be receiving that later today. All right.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Gabby,
Thank you,
I just want to thank
Maureen, David,
Maureen.
and Gabby.
Yeah, and I want to thank you. First of all, I want to thank Maureen and Nicole. You guys are utterly amazing. I also just want to thank our audience. I know you guys work hard every single day. Nicole, that includes you as well, even though you were sharing all of your advice. You guys were absolutely amazing. I know we don't do a poll, but I hope everybody found or got a little bit of goodness out of this, and you can go back and do something with this. That's what I always pray for. So thank you for all that you do each and every day.
Thank you, everyone, and we hope you have a great day and join us on the next
Thank you.
Arreva webinar.
Bye.